Welcome back, everybody, to installment number 4 of the Golden Spiral series. Today we have Candace. I wanted to give a shout out to the new patrons, which are my sister Jillian, Andrea, Tom, and Ben. So thank you. And if you want to get in on the second half action, go to patreon.com/snailshow. And that link will be in the description box. Okay, let's see if we can find Candace. Four out of 52. Still going strong.
Hey boy.
Yep. I think it's out to mid-September. There are a few gaps that could be filled. $10.23 is the furthest one out.
Cool.
Coming up after Candace is Gidris, Letevka, Penny Bradley, Nigel. 8:29 is open. Then Shane Bales, Becky Barron, Fabian, Legal Man, then Rebecca James. On the 23rd of October. 10 is October, right? Not September. It's out through October.
Are you talking or
Halfway. I'm more talking to myself. And the crowd.
I wasn't sure if I was
No, don't mind me. See if Candace can get in here or not. Candace Rivqah. This is her first show ever. Alright, she's here. Shall we commence?
Hey.
Hey,
Yes.
Candace.
There we go.
You made it.
I made it, yeah.
Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're number 4 out of hopefully 52. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, cool.
So, you told me earlier this is your first show ever. You've never been on any type of anything before, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
If you have a few nerves, It's okay.
Yeah, a little.
Don't sweat it.
So I guess I was going to get into my experience with being a targeted individual, just anomalous trauma, I mean, weird happenings. I was going to talk about, functional medicine, psychology, etc. Just go with the flow, I suppose.
Sounds good.
So how do I start? Okay, so with being targeted, I've talked to a lot of people, just who I met online, in person, whoever, who are also targeted, and they think that, it starts because, I don't know, certain people contacted politicians maybe, with certain requests, or like whatever they did, or some person I know said they pissed off their boss, or they pissed off somebody and then someone got them into the program, whatever. And then the thing is, people don't realize when you're targeted the day you're born. So the theory is, okay, so this is an archontic realm. So once your spirit goes through a grid that's surrounding the realm, they, like, I guess negative ETs scan you, and then they know why you came here, they know what you're capable of, and they start monitoring you, engineering your entire life, and just like that, they get you the day you're born. And then all these events are orchestrated, and people think, no, it started when I was 18, no, you're always targeted when you're targeted. Now, so for me, I didn't really know till 2015, actually, and that seems to be a really significant year for a lot of people. I mean, I was, in my adolescent years, I was kind of religious. I would go to church a lot, which it's so odd to say that now. It's so odd. But then it felt wrong. Just whenever I felt the Holy Spirit, I eventually realized that was a parasitic entity. And I realized the Old Testament deity was the demiurge. I mean, just it all came together. It hit me pretty hard because I was practicing Christianity for years. Yeah. And then I realized, oh, okay, so this, and what was weird was the pastor from the church I was going to, the year before I quit, he said something to me like, you're gonna turn your back from God. Like, the next decade is gonna be really, really bad for you. And the thing is, he could really view my timeline, but by what means? Like, he was being influenced by entities to view my timeline. He didn't know. Or at least, no, he didn't know. But anyway, I did leave the church the following year. I never thought I would. But,
what type of church was it?
And then I started, doing some shamanic practices, like journeying with the drums, and then it gets certain brain waves going. And then, which I felt like it wasn't exactly the safest, I don't think, just whatever I was doing at the time with, working with chakras individually, and I feel like I opened myself up. I'm going from topic to topic.
No, you're fine.
But so, people have theories like, oh, the chakras, those are energy centers that archons can access so they can harvest your energy, and they're bad. And some people say oh, no, you need to, utilize your chakras so you balance your energies and I don't like to work with them anymore. I just work with my spirit. Hold on a second.
Yeah. What type of church was it? Was it just your standard, like, run of
It's
the mill
like
Christian church? Was it Catholic? Was it like Mormon? What type of church was it?
it was kind of Pentecostal. I mean, it was non-denominational, but it was pretty Pentecostal. If I like looking back, because people they do the stuff where they go to the altar and like fall down and speak in tongues.
Real dramatic stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then anyway, so where was it? Okay, so shamanic practices.
Chakras.
Oh yeah, the chakras. So I mean, I don't really know.
Did you have any
there's
specific? Did you have any specific experiences with chakras in particular, where you felt some type of negative energy that you weren't interested in feeling while working with those?
I felt like maybe more drained, or I guess maybe like I was being accessed. It's hard to explain. And I felt like everything just kind of started going downhill. Like maybe I was entering into agreements of entrapment. I didn't even realize it. It wasn't a conscious thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I did one shamanic journey. I was just going to different realms. I didn't actually astral travel per se, but like just in my mind, I could, I guess, kind of remote view where my spirit was going. And I was working with this one shaman. And so during my journey, there was a lady, like a colonial looking lady with a lantern in a cabin. I think some of this was my unconscious mind working, but some of it was entities. But I mean, they also they're modifying your thoughts and whatever when you go into these kinds of realms. But so there was a lady in the realm, and she had a lantern, and like the whole cabin was like set on fire, and then she was like, "Help me, I need to get out." And I'm like, I can't help you. I can't go in. I can't do anything. I mean, I'll light on fire myself. She's like, "Help me." And then like she turned into a demon, and then she was like trying to like pull me in. And then the weird thing is that shaman that I saw, her nephew also journeyed with her, and he said he saw the same demon, which I don't know what that means. Maybe she was leading the journey, so maybe she made it easy access.
Yeah.
She didn't even realize. Anyway, so
I don't think a lot of energy workers necessarily know if they have attachments or if they have demons surrounding them. I've seen instances where people don't seem to know what their energy actually looks like, and I would have to remove myself without ever even telling them, because that's not really my place to do so. But I know that a lot of people are not aware, especially if you're just sort of on a whim, like I'm gonna go journey, I'm gonna go do some shamanic work, or I'm gonna go very deep in sort of breath work. If you haven't had the experience of getting spiritually attacked, then you're very likely it's gonna happen. You need to get the experience anyway, because it happens all the time. But
yeah,
it's something that you can only learn by experience. You can't really go get a book on it and figure it out that way.
right. So, oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't really like to work with energy workers or healers. I'm really, really careful about that now, because I picked up a lot of shit. I mean, in the past, working with whoever, and anyway, so.
Did you have any blowback when you exited the church from family, friends, or spiritual, or anything like that, or was it kind of like a clean break, and you were able to have some peace after that?
I mean, people from the church tried to get me to come back. I mean, my family wasn't really religious, so there was that. I mean, nothing real. There were no repercussions with anyone. I remember, like, after I left, I had a nightmare. Like, I was at the altar and people were trying to, like, lay their hands on me, and I freaked out because I thought of, like, energy transference or, like, entity transference or whatever. I think that was probably, like, a staged managed dream. And, I mean, I get those a lot, actually. So, now what was I saying? So 2015, I found out I was targeted. I talked to other people who were, and then, you know, I'm gonna say my mentor, I'm not gonna name who my mentor is, but she's talking about being targeted herself, and like I was into some weird stuff, and she's like, no, don't do that, like you don't know what government agencies can do to you if you do. I'm not going to say what it was because I don't feel comfortable, but okay. I was like, wait, what is she talking about? What are government agencies going to do to me? What does that even mean? I mean, I kind of knew what targeting was, but not until I didn't really know what it was until like 2016. So then I was speaking to someone. I don't want to mention their name. I don't want to disparage anybody. So whoever it was, like they could remote view me, and they were explaining that I had some very rare DNA, and there were like different ET factions fighting for it, which I was like, yeah, man, sure. Like I didn't, you know, whatever, but I remember I was at work when I was like in between. I was working at a call center at the time, so like in between calls, I was texting the person and whatever. And then I said I felt weird, and then they said, "Oh, it's a local Air Force base, which was like 20 minutes away or something. They're doing blah blah blah." I'm like, this sounds really fucking weird. Hold on, sorry again. So then I thought there was. Oh wait, that was bizarre. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah, you blinked off for a second. You're fine.
Okay. So, I thought like there was a possibility that was happening, but I had no concept. I mean, I knew I was a starseed, but I didn't know the extent of the targeting. And so I was still at work, and then I remember like I was like killing myself too. I was captioning calls for people who couldn't hear well, and like you had to type really quickly, and like there was some voice recognition software. You had to hear words, say words, and I was like you had to do it really quickly.
Yeah.
So then I remember like I was doing my job, and my manager just she said I wasn't, and she sent me home, right? And then so I was telling the person at the time, I was like, this is crap. Like and then I said I'm being sent home for no reason. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, yeah, this government ET group, whatever ET group it was, he said they're like influencing your boss. And I'm thinking maybe, but I didn't really know what to make of it. And then okay, so then it got really bizarre.
Did you lose that job, or did you stay with that?
Oh, I got fired. I was always late. That was not really, I mean, that factored in, but there was no reason for my manager to send me home.
Yeah.
When doing my job. There was no reason for her to send me home.
So you felt like you were getting gaslit or something like that? Some type of attack?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, she was being remotely influenced, which so it's really awkward to talk about. But anyway, so I didn't stay there. I still have the issues with authority figures, whatever, and
as you should. It's necessary, especially at this time. Very necessary.
Yeah. So I've been kind of hopping around with jobs or whatever. So, but at that point in time, trying to think. Okay, so there was that scenario, and my stepdad is DOD, or he was working at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, and he was doing like some computer techie IT stuff, whatever. He was in the military for a while. Like sometimes he'd go overseas, and the person I was talking to at the time said, your stepdad is your handler. And I'm like, and then I had to move back. I was living in an apartment in 2016, and then I had to move back home with my mom for like a couple of weeks. Then my new apartment was, the new place was ready sometime later. But while I was home for that 2 weeks, like my stepdad was acting really bizarre. Like, just, I remember, so we went from the house to my new apartment complex. We went in separate cars. But he said something like, there was a blimp in the sky, and then he felt the need to call me, right? And then he's like, you see that, Candace? And I'm like, yeah, what about it? And he's like, they're coming to get you, Candace.
What?
And I didn't tell him anything about being targeted. I didn't talk to him about ETs. I didn't tell him anything. So the person I was talking to at the time that was telling me all this stuff was happening with ETs and government agencies, and I guess they could remote view, and they said my name was on some kind of like government watch list, and my stepdad didn't even know what he was saying to me because they were remotely influencing him. Like they said he was MK Ultra. Department of Defense, yeah, he was MK Ultra, but. And then my mentor actually told me, she said, your entire family has been MK Ultra'd against you. And and then she said, since your stepdad is DOD, he's riddled with implants. They can trigger him to say anything to you and he'll do it. And so then maybe I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but I had a conversation with another target who said their father was also Department of Defense. And he said something like they did something to his DNA. And so the target I talked to said, they took away my kids. And there was no reason. It was on lies. They took away my kids. And I think that maybe they did that because something about my father's DNA being manipulated, and maybe I'm a part of it, and then they ended up they took the kids for, I don't know, maybe projects. I don't really know how that works, but I mean, it was bizarre. Okay,
I have a question real quick. With your father-in-law, does he seem like he's got his facilities about him at all, or does he seem much more like an automaton type, NPC type figure, or do you see any spark or spirit inside of him, or no?
He's a sociopath. My stepdad is a sociopath. I lived with him for years. He would psychologically like mess with me. I'd notice my stuff going missing. He was like intrusive, and like I felt like he was turning my mom against me. Well, my mom was MK Ultra'd anyway, so she loves me, but she does like sometimes really bizarre, like okay, this is a little awkward. So I'm thinking back to like first of all, my mom has like a very authoritarian personality. Like she's kind of like pragmatic. Like, this is the way things need to be done. This is how you do it. If you don't do it this way, sometimes she'll get like a disproportionate reaction where she's getting really angry and really like punitive, where it's pretty unnecessary.
So did that change when you transitioned from being totally in her control as a minor to you becoming older? Or did she still try to exert that control over you when you were sort of on your own?
She still did it. Like I remember I moved out, and then I came back to the house. I had like a skull t-shirt or something. She's like, that looks bad on you. You shouldn't wear it. And then I slipped over, and then I ended up finding that skull t-shirt in the garbage. And I was on my own at that point. But anyway, that's my mom. And there was like some bizarre scenario. I remember I lived with her a few years ago because I had to come back home again. And she was like, I was getting ready in her bathroom for something, and I was like changing, and then she's like, your dad, her husband, whatever. She's like, she said, he wouldn't want you to be in here. Get out of the bathroom. Get out now. I'm like, Mom, I am not wearing a shirt. She's like, get out. I'm like, you want me to walk through the house with no shirt? And she's like, yes, get out. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I mean, I was like taking some crazy psych meds at the time. I was kind of not all there myself, but I like walked through the house like with my arms like that, and my stepdad was in the kitchen, and he gave me shit about it, of course. But anyway, so okay, I'm gonna go back to the other story I was telling. So 2016, I was learning more and more about what it meant to be like a military abductee, hyperdimensional interference, what they do to targets, et cetera, like how to protect yourself. So 2017 was a very, very, very weird year. So then I remember talking on the phone to a friend, which I don't think she was involved at all, but she was also into the conspiracy woo-woo type stuff, but not as much as me, but still. And then I remember talking to her on the phone, and she said something like, I think the government is listening in on our call. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I guess she heard scrambling. I don't know. It was weird. They definitely triggered her to say that, and she got off the phone, right? And then I felt like heavy energy. It's very hard to explain. It's just a very heavy energy. And then I contacted another TI, and I was like, I feel really fucking weird, and I don't know what's happening. He's like, you're being electronically targeted. It's happening right now. And then I eventually went to sleep. And then the next day, I got a text. My stepdad was miles away because I was in Tampa in my apartment. He was like 30 to 40 minutes away in the suburbs. But he texted me, did you break down and pay your rent? And it's like, wait, what? Like, you don't say break down and pay your rent to someone. Like, anyway. And there was like other weird gang stalking shit. Like, or I don't know if you were going to say something.
No, I mean, I do feel like if people are influenced, the gaslighting phenomena I feel like the more intelligent the person is that's being targeted, the more subtle that the gaslighting is, the more it gets to you, I think. So if someone can say an offhand remark that is relating to what's actually happening, but there's just enough weirdness to get you thinking, I feel like that's like a highly effective way of just like throwing you off center. I was going to say something. So you said 2017 was when you felt the first actual like physical sort of possible EMF targeting or microwave targeting, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I have some amount of, I definitely have PTSD. Like, I'm not functioning right now. Like, I'm not here to say, like, I beat this or I recovered. This is, like, I guess kind of a video memoir of, like, everything I went through, everything I'm still going through. I'm sure, like, I'll overcome a lot of this at some point in time, but...
is it ongoing as far as physical targeting? Frequency manipulation, that sort of thing?
What was that?
Like frequency manipulation, where you're feeling the heavy feelings, etc. That's ongoing?
Yeah, they don't do it all the time, though. They do it at, like, weak moments, or when I'm doing something they don't want me to do. Like, if I'm trying to collect information about something, or... Okay, recently... So, again, hopping around topics, but, so I watched Lauda's podcast last year about, the 20 and Back, which I was also a part of.
20 and Back?
Interviewed... 20 and Back is, the secret space program, so they MyLab you, usually at, like, 16 or 17, and they enslave you. They use you for different projects, and like they, government agencies have contracts with different ET groups, I guess, in exchange for technology, or I mean, I guess they're maybe so influenced they just have to kind of conform to whatever certain ETs say because they're just, it's out of their hands. But so I went through that. I think they took me when I was, I want to say like 17, like my senior year of high school. So it was really bizarre. Like I was a straight edge. I was an honor student. I was just, whatever. Like I was in the National Honor Society. I was doing everything I was supposed to do, right? And then like that, like I don't know, like I just started kind of cutting class, abusing substances, cutting myself, hooking up with strangers. And my mom was like, I mean, her thing, she just yelled at me for not going to school. She didn't recognize that like I had very severe PTSD. And she didn't know why. And her and my sister would be like, you just changed when you were in high school, like out of nowhere. And I'm like, I mean, and I tell them, I was MyLabbed, and I mean, of course they think I'm crazy.
Wait, is it, can I the 20 and back, is it the idea that you're taken out, you spend 20 years somewhere, and then you come back and no time has, or small amount of time has elapsed here? Is that what that is?
Yeah, essentially. So they put you back, and so yeah, you're 20 years wherever. I heard like they can take you for multiple missions too. I think they might have taken me when I was younger also, but definitely 17. And so it's gone 20 years. The theory is, I guess, when they put you back, either they age regress you or they put you in a clone body and no one ever knows that you were missing. So I guess your cells are kind of split between here and there, which I guess after the 20-year mark, so I'm 32 now. I guess supposedly when I'm 37, like there's some kind of shift, and with the cells or something, and then I kind of recover from, I wouldn't necessarily say I would recover from the PTSD, but I'd be more in balance. So I guess like people say they have less neurosis like after the 20-year mark here. They're kind of back to normal.
Do you have any memories of that 20 years that has passed?
Yes, but it's like,
so you're essentially 52, so to speak, right? Like you have an extra 20 years of experience like wedged in there, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, well, so yeah, an extra something like that. So the memories, there was a dream I had where I was, okay, so how did that go? There's the dream and the memories, but it's I don't have all of the memories yet. So the dream I had, I was on a craft, and then it was like we were going from this realm to like I don't, different dimensions. So I was ascending, and then I felt significantly better. I think that was because the grid around the planet right now, it's keeping everyone in a trauma frequency. So when I left, I felt significantly better.
Right.
And so I was ascending, we were in the craft, I was with other, I guess, like comrades, and then when I had the dream, though, I think some amount of it was my unconscious mind working, but a lot of it, well, I also heard like when they put you back, they make you think that the experiences you had were all just a dream. And so it's kind of bizarre, but I remember saying to somebody when I was there, I said, okay, so there's whatever food we have, and I don't think I felt like there was something wrong with it. I felt like maybe there was some kind of like Archon influence and we shouldn't be eating whatever it was. And then the comrade said, like we're in the upper realms, like they can't really mess with anything here, like we're okay. Then I ate it and I felt like it flooded me with black goo. And I remember there were serpents and it was really bizarre. There was some battling and then I woke up. And then the thing is, okay, so with the 20 and back, and once you're done, I think they still take you for additional projects, which maybe are not necessarily 20 and back projects, but there's, I guess, different kinds. And then the memories, which, okay, so this is also really, really bizarre. There's some guy that I was talking to last year. We weren't exactly dating. We were working towards that, but he also went through the 20 and back, and he said that like we had 50 mutual Facebook friends, and we met online, and he told me that he knew me before, like he even added me on Facebook. He had memories of me, like we were like in cages reaching for each other, we were lovers, etc. There was a ship with eyes, and I guess like people say ETs can operate like these crafts with their mind, whatever. And then so with this guy I had memories of him too, but it was like, well, he was kind of under the influence. So my theory is that, I mean, my third eye opened when I was under the influence, and then I had the memories. I am not entirely sure if they are real memories or if I was being influenced, because I heard like the Zeta Reticuli Greys are like modifying THC, whatever. And so they're trying to access you. So, but the memories I have of that person, I remember like being on a craft with a reptilian, and we were running away, and they also made us like perform sex rituals while they watched. But like it was
You were running away with the reptilian?
Oh, from the rept.
Okay.
And the reptilians also watched us have sex, because I guess it was an energy harvesting ritual, whatever. But it sounds really, really, really weird, right? So anyway, I don't speak to that person anymore though, because okay, I'm just gonna say that the people that went through these projects, like no one comes back normal. We all have some kind of neurosis. I mean, I'll get into that later, but I've seen people who went through this who just, they have complete psychotic breaks, or they have like dissociative identity disorder, or they just have PTSD and they're just kind of not functioning. And I mean, I haven't really been functioning for years. And yeah,
so in 2017, when you feel like this happened, is this something you were aware of at all while you were going to high school? Were you aware that something had happened that year, or is that something that you slowly integrated as you moved away from that experience? When did you like come to the conclusion that you had actually gone through that project?
Last year, but then I knew I was MyLabbed.
So 15 years
before,
later, or so.
Huh?
15 years later or so, you realized it.
Something like that. So, yeah, something like that. About 15 years. A little less, but I remember when I came back, I didn't know what happened. I didn't really. It's hard to say exactly. Like, I don't remember a specific day, like waking up and thinking something happened necessarily, but I remember just talking a lot of crap about the government when I came back, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why, because before that I was like, that just wasn't, I was asleep.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I felt pretty asleep when I came back, right? But
you had no reason to be like doubting the government's narrative or anything like that.
What was that?
You had no reason to be doubting the official narrative at that point in your life, right? Unless you directly remembered certain things.
Yeah, there wasn't a reason for it. It was, I mean, I guess kind of like, I guess sort of a reverberation of like all my experiences, like coming back here to civilian life, and then it just, but I didn't know why. I didn't have the memories then. So,
was it was it a specific fleet, so to speak? Was it like when you were taken, etc.? Were you doing military work, or do you remember? Was it slavery only? Was it like, what was it in this 20-year period? What would you categorize the type of things that you did there as?
Like solar warden, like kind of. Some of it was, I guess, some people would say some of the mylabbing is done to help us. So it was, I guess, kind of like keeping certain ETs out of our realm, I would say. But some of it was like, because I don't remember everything. I don't remember everything. I will eventually, cause after the 20-year mark, or maybe before, or when I guess we're going through this compression phase, where all the timelines are collapsing, and people say there's more particles coming in, and we're going to have more etheric energy here, and then we'll have more of our abilities and memories back. So I'm just I don't know when that'll be, but I'm awaiting for that to come. But 2017, back to that. So, oh my goodness. So I remember I was driving for Uber then, and like the gang stalking started in 2017. Like some guy never met in my life. He got in my car. I don't know. And I had the thought, like, he can read my mind. And then he turns to me and he says, "What are you thinking? I can read your mind." And I'm like, and then I just thought, you know what, like, I can't even, like, take this person seriously, because he's being remotely influenced, and, like, they're trying to trigger me. He's not gonna, like, nothing bad is gonna happen. They're just, like, psychologically trying to fuck with me, right? So I just, like, kind of put it out of my mind. But I had more, like, weird experiences in public, or with my electronics, or being, like, remote neural monitored. So yeah, but that year I also started talking to other targets, and I remember, like, one girl told me that I guess it started for her when she contacted someone, or she tried to contact someone in office, and then I don't know if, like, when you do that, you enter into some kind of agreement of entrapment, and then it comes back to haunt you. And she said she started having voice to skull, which I never experienced that, like, hearing voices or anything. I mean, maybe when I was, like, tripped up or something, but otherwise, like, I never had the voice to skull. But so yeah, I remember the person, though. She was like talking to me on the phone at one point, and she said, "You called me right when my father was done talking to me and went downstairs. Are you watching me? Who are you? Is someone paying you to fuck with me?" I'm like, "No, like, I'm targeted." That's happened with other people, like, where they accuse me of, but I mean, that's how they get you. Like, that's they want the target to feel isolated, and, like, everyone's in on it, whatever. Right. So anyway, but that year, so I was still, was driving for Uber, and I remember, like, I was really, really broke, and I had a really nice car at the time, and I changed huge mistake, I will never do this again, but I changed my insurance coverage from full coverage to minimum coverage. And right after that, I totaled my car. And I was driving for over a decade, right? And I never totaled a car in my life. But right after I changed my policy, I totaled my car. And there was nothing I could do because I had no coverage.
And you were at fault? You were at fault?
Oh, I was at fault, yes. It was my fault. I rear-ended someone, but I feel like I was being remotely, like, influenced, distracted. I mean, ultimately, I have no one to blame but myself, but there was some kind of influence there.
Okay.
Definitely. So then I lost my livelihood. I lost my car. I moved back in with my mother after living on my own for several years. And like, I remember like trying to find jobs and then I couldn't, and like just whatever was going on, I was just not having it. I think also I had like some concussion from the accident, and I was kind of not all there. But I remember there, like months later, when I was still in her house, still not doing anything, still all PTSD'd out, I just said to her, like, I feel like swallowing a bunch of pills. And she said, okay, I'm making you go to the hospital now. I'm like, I don't want to go to the hospital. And she's like, well, your father OD'd and now he's dead, so you're going to the hospital. And it's just like, okay. Like, I mean, I had been, like, in Florida, they call it the Baker Act, where they can, like, force you into a psych ward if you're a harm to yourself or somebody else. I mean, the first time I had to be hospitalized, I was 19. And I think that it was partially psych meds I was taking that kind of pushed me over the edge. Like, they weren't compatible with my system, whatever. But anyway, so I was admitted into a psych ward at 28. Okay, so 2017, I was 28. And then they gave me stuff for bipolar disorder, and they gave like a mood stabilizer and an antidepressant. Oh, that shit fucked me up so bad. Like, I was taking Depakote, and that makes you gain weight. Like, makes you gain weight. I just slept. All I wanted to do was sleep. When I was awake, I could barely stay awake. And I remember, like, having trouble walking. And there were different medications I was taking. And so, let me see. I was in and out of psych wards, though, in 2017, which the other target I talked to, like, she was also, like, born the same year I was, and she was never hospitalized, but that year she was hospitalized too, because, like, we were both starting to wake up a lot that year, and we were both, it was, I guess they felt like we were getting too much control over our lives, so they had to create setups, right? So, and I would talk to her, I'd be like, what medication are you on now? She'd be like, I'm taking lithium. I'm like, they have me on lithium too, and they have me on this, and now they put me on that. And okay, so in 2017, I was back and forth, and this medication made me, okay, so I developed akathisia, so that's essentially where you're taking the medication and it makes you just like really agitated. Some people develop psychosis. Some people, they become homicidal or suicidal. But when I had it, I felt like if I was sitting down or laying down, whatever I was doing, like I just couldn't sit still, and I was losing my mind. And honestly, I think that's why my father committed suicide. Maybe that's too much information, but before he died, he was pacing the house for no reason, and like he was really agitated. And we found out later, I guess his doctor was negligent, and I'm pretty certain he had akathisia before he died. And then they say, like, a lot of people, you know, that's part of why there were different school shootings or whatever, shootings or suicides, whatever, from that. And then a psychiatrist will not tell you might develop akathisia, right? They just give you pills and send you on your way.
Do you know how to spell that? I want to look it up later on.
Okay.
Do you have any idea how to spell it?
I think it's AKA Aka THISIA.
Akathisia?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I wanna kind of wrap this first segment because it's a little over 45 minutes. But on the other side, I would like, if you're comfortable, sharing to share a little bit about your biological father, if you're okay with that, and how your relationship was with him before he passed. Is that possible?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna break for 5 minutes or so if you need to use the restroom or get some water or whatever, and we'll come back on the other side.
Sure. All right.
Okay. I'll set up another Zoom call as well for the second half.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
See you in just a bit.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.